Ladies and gentlemen, shall we kindly rise and receive our guests for the evening as we get ready to start. Thank you very much for your patience. May we please be upstanding as we take the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, once again you're welcome to the very first edition or the inaugural edition of the IEA's Conversations series. And we certainly will have to start with a prayer. On that note, I would like to quickly say that prayer. If you choose to bow your head and close your eyes, that's fine. So shall we pray? Divine Father, we thank you for this evening. We ask that you will take absolute charge of whatever we will do here, that in the end, everything that will be accomplished will go towards further enhancing the democracy of this country. We thank you. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Samson Ladi Ayenini, your host for this evening. I'm going to be moderating this program. And as you may be aware already, and having gone through the outline of the event for the evening, it's supposed to be a very interesting encounter with one very significant individual in this country who has spent decades using her life to influence what it takes to make this country a better place. But there is someone who is more competent to tell us about this program for this evening, and that person is the person of the Senior Research Fellow of the IEA, Dr. Michael Ofori Mensah. Shall we please welcome him with a round of applause?
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. On behalf of the IEA, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to this inaugural IEA Conversation series. Tonight, we are privileged to host Mrs. Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings, the former First Lady of Ghana, Executive President of the 31st December Women's Movement, and the flag bearer of the National Democratic Party. We are equally delighted that you've all accepted our invitation to be part of this event. Let me just say a few words about the IEA Conversation series. This series, which we are inaugurating today, is essentially a form of policy dialogue. The aim is to provide a platform for distinguished statesmen and women to outline their views on a range of development and policy issues that will promote Ghana and the West African sub-region as a whole. The IEA initiated the series to also serve as a forum for knowledge sharing in order to better educate citizens on key development challenges and to discuss the requisite policy interventions. We have designed the series to be interactive. Guests here will also have the opportunity to seek clarification by asking direct questions related to the conversation. Turning to tonight's event, I will say that undoubtedly, Mrs. Agyemang Rawlings has played an important role in the development of Ghana's democratic culture. She has also been a strong advocate for the rights of the Ghanaian women and children. So this platform will serve as a unique opportunity for all of us here to hear about her vision for development and governance for this country. Guests here, who represent a cross-section of the general public, will also have the opportunity to interact with Mrs. Agyemang Rawlings by posing questions. It is the IEA's expectation that through the conversation series, there will be an improved understanding on some of the key challenges facing the country and prompt debate on the steps and the actions to address such issues. Let me end by emphasizing that the IEA will continue to provide a neutral platform for the healthy exchange of ideas in this country. In this regard, the conversation series, as a policy dialogue, will aim to identify areas and gaps where reforms are required. It is our hope that recommendations emerging from this series will be given due consideration and go on to mitigate some of the key challenges facing the nation. So once again, a very warm welcome, and I'm certain that we'll all have very constructive discussions tonight. May God continue to bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to have Mrs. Rawlings speak to us for about 25 minutes, but after that, there's going to be a good time within which we are also going to have to ask her questions, particularly relating to the subject that she speaks to or the matters that she speaks to. Within that period, you have 30 seconds to ask a question. She has 3 minutes to respond to your question. Microphones will go around and you put your hand up, I'll identify you, you take the microphone and please keep to the time. Already, some bit of the time is spent. So let's try and keep to the time. This program is live on City FM, on Joy 99.7, and then on Joy Television, and it's subsequently airing on Metro Television at 9 p.m. Without much ado, we all know that the IEA has spent almost 3 decades enhancing and furthering the democratic practice of this country. So this is yet another platform, the IEA Conversation Series. And the first to engage us is none other but the former First Lady. You know her, the activist, former First Lady, as Doc has said, championed many things that we can speak about that are good for our country. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mrs. Nana Konadu Agyemang Rawlings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lally. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have to excuse this voice today because I've got a bit of an issue with my throat. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings from the executives and the members of the National Democratic Party. It is truly a pleasure to address you all today, many of whom I think I have interacted in the course of my developmental work. But today I do so in a very unique and historical capacity. Excuse me. As the first female presidential candidate ever to address the IEA, I want to say a big thank you for this opportunity to express my views here. Thank you. Originally, I was supposed to come and speak for 45 minutes, and it's been cut to 25 minutes. So I'm going to really just rush through, leave a lot of things, and maybe in the question and answer time, I'll be able to deal with them. The economic and social upheavals we are witnessing in some nations across the world must awaken that sense of urgency in all of us. We as Ghanaians cannot take our future for granted and assume that it shall be well, even as we live the reality of it is not well. You and I, all of us, are the stakeholders of Ghana, and therefore it is our sole responsibility to ensure that our nation has in place the most effective constitution that guides our leadership and the most effective policies and strategies that make us a prosperous nation. It is within our power as citizens of Ghana to ensure that Ghana is on a clear, visionary path. It is not enough to hope or pray that things will get better. It is not enough. Let me say that again. It is not enough to hope and pray that things will get better, when the stark reality indicates that our nation is on the wrong path. That is why I am running for president, to put Ghana on the right track again. I am the presidential candidate of the National Democratic Party, and we believe in laying the foundation of a prosperous future for Ghana so that all Ghanaians can have the confidence in a country built on a system that rewards hard work and sacrifice. The NDP believes in creating a Ghana where mothers and fathers have the opportunity to invest in the future of their children, where Ghanaian genius is rewarded and where meritocracy is paramount. We believe in a thriving economy that creates equal opportunity for every Ghanaian, regardless of ethnic group, regardless of financial group and status, regardless of gender and age. As a fellow citizen and a stakeholder in Ghana, as a wife, as a mother, and definitely as a voter, I refuse to sit back and say things will get better, particularly as we all can see things are not getting any better. In fact, things are getting worse for us as a nation. I will not sit back and do nothing while the gap between the rich and the poor grows wider. We are all witnesses to the deplorable growth of slums in Ghana. We all watch with frustration as societal indiscipline creeps into every facet of our lives. Although the government security budget has increased, we are witness to decreasing law and order with a corresponding increase of arbitrariness and impunity. Our health system is really not a system because it is not working there isn't a single family as in an extended family, there isn't a single family in our extended family system, regardless of financial status, that has not lost a family member to an illness or disease that could have been treated if timely. Sorry, thank you. If timely, sorry, I've lost it. If timely proper care had been administered, our healthcare professionals are frustrated due to their inability to help save their patients. As a result of ill-equipped hospitals and a bureaucracy that stifles their dedication. Ghana has a lot of competent people. We have a lot of competent professionals. In every sector, you will find them there. And these are all being excluded from contributing to effective nation building. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to create a system that supports and rewards our dedicated healthcare servicemen and women, while weeding out those who are guilty of medical malpractice. How can a nation that prides itself on peace and stability have its foundations shaken by outbreaks of cholera and typhoid, diseases easily avoidable if our health and sanitation systems worked effectively? Diseases that have been eradicated from our country have resurfaced. Yellow fever, typhoid, yaws. A lot of the young people have never heard the name of yaws, because I was asking some people, they said, what is yaws? Scabies. I've asked some people about scabies, I don't know about scabies. I said it's back in the country. All due to poor water and sanitation and incompetent governance. On our roads and highways around the country, we witness an uncountable loss of life because of sheer disregard for rules and regulations. Ghanaian businesses, including foreign ones, are shutting down and moving to neighboring African countries because of lack of power, excessive rent, high taxes, and sometimes a lack of the requisite skilled labor. We cannot continue like this anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, we cannot continue like this. We cannot lose life and property each year in floods, and each year hope things will get better when we are actually not taking any active steps to solve the problem. Freedom and justice must not become mere rhetoric, but a reality that must permeate every aspect of Ghanaian society. There's no freedom when you are denied the basic opportunities to create a future of prosperity for yourself and your children. Neither is it just for a government to take up 4 years of our time, of our lives, and reward us with economic mismanagement. It's unacceptable. Ladies and gentlemen, time is of essence. The National Democratic Party respects and understands the urgency in immediately implementing policies that will align the Ghanaian economy for sustainable growth so as to attract viable investment to Ghana, attract Ghanaian businesses back home, while creating the environment for new ones to flourish. Indeed, the NDP does not believe in paying lip service to decentralization. We want to empower Ghanaians at all levels. We intend to do this by allowing the local government system to work and work effectively. With the limited time allotted, I will focus briefly on some thematic areas. Indeed, originally I had 8 areas, or 10. That's the economy, energy, local government, trade and industry, education and the youth, women and children, health, agriculture, law and order. But due to the shortness of time, I'm going to pick maybe 4 out of the 9. So I'll deal with the economy. The NDP's road to recovery. Under the economy, we shall re-examine the restructure the financial services sector by drawing in all stakeholders in this sector. We will take a closer look at the cost of credit of commercial banks. Why is it profitably high, and what can be done in the short term and long term to bring this down? Our financial sector needs to be re-examined to allow local banks to be able to syndicate loans to support key sectors of the economy, as was done before. We also need to review the tax system. I'm picking, 1 or 2 of them. So we need to review the tax system. And I'll say again that there is too much taxation on Ghanaian businesses and citizens. No country has ever developed through overtaxation of the people or industry. It just doesn't happen. Too much taxation is counterproductive and stifles economic activity and growth. When taxes are overly high, production drops, businesses suffer, workers suffer, some are laid off, and there is no guarantee whatsoever that those who remain will still be there the following year. The government is telling us that only a few Ghanaians pay tax. The NDP wishes to differ on this matter, because everybody in Ghana pays tax. It may be an indirect tax or a direct tax, but we all pay some tax. In fact, everybody pays taxes on NHIS, rural electrification, the GET fund, and many more, rural water. I could go on and on. These taxes are on everything that we buy. Even a newborn baby that we're going to put Pampers on, the Pampers have all these taxes on it. You buy bread, you see NHIS on it. So we pay the taxes, but we can call it indirect tax. But don't tell us we don't pay tax, because we do. Elementary economics, ladies and gentlemen, dictates that money must be in the hands of the consumer, not the government. In order for sustainable economic activity to be realized, our present economic strategy is simply borrow, tax, spend, and then again borrow, tax, spend. I think we can do better than that. And we in the NDP, we know we can do it. I decided I'll pick about 4 so that we can then. I'll say a little bit about energy, because the energy crisis is grinding businesses to a halt, so it's important to talk about it. Some businesses have relocated to neighboring countries again because of energy. Energy is the lifeline of a country that wants to grow. Whether it's in industry, in education, in medicals, you need to have the energy. Ghana needs to look into developing a sustainable energy policy. For example, we can ensure or maybe create a law through Parliament that makes property developers and builders incorporate as a matter of law solar into their construction, so that it will be like traveling to Spain or some of the South American countries. Every house has solar on top of it. in some American countries as well, North America, the southern part. Arizona, you don't see anybody without solar. If they can do it, I think we can do it too. Maybe if we make it into law, this will then help us to address this aspect of our personal lighting systems within our homes, while thinking of the bigger picture. So the energy question that has been debated over and over again and occupied national discourse up to date, and it seems to have no end, can be solved if we put our minds to it. Solution of the energy crisis, I think, lies also in funding several options that are available globally by numerous local and foreign expertise. And it is possible for us to be able to look for prospective investors to come and assess the situation and make sure that they are not driven away by rent-seeking behavior of officialdom. I think most people understand this. I think I'll leave the rest for our manifesto, in the manifesto. In the district assembly, the centralized system is not being allowed to work. And if you look at Articles 240 up to 254 of the 1992 Constitution, you will see clearly what the assemblies were created, why they were created, and what they were created for. And if we would stick strictly to the work that the assemblies are supposed to do, and not have government usurping the powers of the assembly in areas of development, in areas of construction, even the sewing of school uniforms and carpentry work and stuff like chairs and tables being made in Accra and sent to the district. I think that we could make the district assemblies work. It would work much better, but I think I'll leave it there, and then when there are questions, we'll deal with the substantive issues that come up. I would just like to add, though, that decentralization for the NDP is directly linked, we know, is directly linked to empowerment of the communities, politically and socio-economically. That is why we are introducing what we call the COBNOB, the Community Organizational Bureau Network of Ghana. An effective and functioning decentralized system is a positive indication of the socio-economic direction of governance. A centralized system of governance that works signals a government's commitment to a prosperous people at all levels. And we know that if we allow the district assemblies to work, and we in the NDP, we want to use the COBNOB, that the Community Organizational Bureaus, to actually champion the community initiatives. We will have an empowered people in Ghana, and when the people are empowered, no government can take them for granted or for a ride. So we need to have people empowered from the community levels right up to the top. Sorry, but I'm having to... Now, let me deal a little bit on with trade and industry. One major subject in trade and industry that I'd like to touch on is a major product that can give Ghana enormous wealth in revenue, and that is salt production. Salt production is a major active ingredient for the oil sector. Ghana's experience in salt production on a large scale can earn millions of dollars, which turn into our country. And in addition, when we create a salt production, we can set up factories to also produce chloride and sodium respectively that can be exported to other countries. We in the NDP are looking at setting up factories along the coast, 4 factories. One in Volta region, one in Greater Accra region, another in Central region, and one in Western region, to produce massive amounts of salt. Now, seawater is free, and it is a natural resource for production of salt. And so we propose the development of salt winning program, where factories will be built in those 4 regions. A first-class factory for producing salt with attractive packaging will give us an excellent exportable product and at the same time create jobs for Ghanaians. The rock salt that we produce can be exported to the oil-producing countries of Africa and other places. Currently, oil-producing countries in the whole of Africa import the salt that they need for their oil fields. The National Democratic Party sees an opportunity for Ghana to increase its revenue base through the export of rock salt to oil-producing countries, if nowhere else, at least for Africa. A developed salt industry can earn Ghana more than gold is earning us today. The second thing I want to talk about in the trade and industry is gold refining. Ladies and gentlemen, too much lip service has been paid to gold refining and nothing has been done up to date. An NDP government will establish a first-class gold refinery using international contacts and partners who have credibility in the world, because Ghana has to stop exporting our gold in the form that we are doing at the moment. A gold refinery will give our gold added value. This will also introduce more transparency and accountability in our mining sector, because we will then be able to monitor how much gold Ghana actually mines at every point of time. The refinery will create huge employment and strengthen our monetary system, because we'll have some gold to back our currency. I think I can leave out the women and children and go straight to the education and youth, because everybody knows what I do with women, and I am really passionate about that. But I'll just say a few words about the young women, because to our young women who are really at the threshold of adulthood, I'd like to encourage them to take their education and vocations seriously, and not to be swayed by negativities which may destroy their future. I want to show to our young women that as a mother who was once a youth myself, I understand the prevailing problems. I do. I understand the problems that they may be facing, but they should remain focused, really remain focused, and keep their eyes on their passion. Keep their eyes on their passion and their ambition, while using their youth to acquire beneficial skills, which will then empower them forever. I'll just say a few words about the youth and I think I'll say something about thank you. Law and order. Ladies and gentlemen, the pinnacle and sustenance of any democracy is our respect and adherence to law and order. We therefore cannot progress as a nation when citizens are living in a state of insecurity and fear of their lives in their own homes. Families are living in fear because of the audacity of armed robbers who are developing more and more sophisticated ways to terrorize and pillage our communities. Our security agencies do not have the adequate manpower to deal effectively with those that flout the law. The prevalence of white-collar crime means that we need to invest heavily in our serious fraud office. This is very important because I think a lot of our security agents cannot identify the white-collar, serious white-collar fraud in our system. And I believe that if we are able to recruit dynamic minds and ensure constant skills training, we will have a very strong, serious fraud office, so people can at least identify white-collar crime. In law and order, houses are built without permits, while our waterways are blocked by the haphazard construction of structures without the proper planning and mapping of the said area. In some instances, the law clearly states that the area is to be preserved as a green belt. But regardless of the law, individuals use their political strength and power to build in those designated areas, which destroys the environment as a result of the felling of trees and destruction of fauna and flora. City and town planning departments must work again, and Ghanaians have to adhere to the laws on planning, regardless of which party is in power. Stringent supervision will be introduced by the NDP to make our city beautiful again. While talking about planning, let me also state that let me also comment on the haphazard naming of the streets and roads that already had names. Some of the streets did have names. Why change it and give them new names? The consequences of this action is the expense of having to change and reprint letterheads, tax forms, bank forms, etc., etc., etc. All these are things that are needed by companies or individuals. And we are having to change our letterhead addresses and so on. This process was not well thought out and has been done We need to set Ghana on a path that right is right and wrong is definitely wrong, regardless of your political persuasion. We must see that right is right and wrong is wrong. I believe in restructuring our law and order apparatus so that Ghanaians can trust in the integrity of our laws and in those that enforce them. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, Ghana needs a dynamic approach to leadership, an innovative approach that will chart a new future for all of us. The National Democratic Party believes in innovation. We believe in the innovative leadership that responds to the aspirations of the Ghanaians today. What are these aspirations? Job security, a thriving economy, consistent and effective access to energy, a transparent and accountable government, availability of good health care and education. These are things we look up to NDP for. Leadership has a responsibility to inspire a society to create. A society will create and transform itself when leadership has a responsibility to ensure that the nation has peace and security as well. True leadership creates a society that ensures freedom for all people, while understanding that there is a responsibility to protect the common good of our nation. True leadership respects people's right to choose their future and therefore put them at the center of their own development. We in NDP believe in placing people at the center of development, advancing job creation for all, developing practical solutions to poverty alleviation, creating a society that is sensitive to the needs of the vulnerable groups, transforming the healthcare system and education, making access to energy a right and not a responsibility, empowering the youth. We in the NDP believe that our future is our nation, and so we should empower society. We are greater together as a nation with a common future and a goal. Our country, Ghana, progresses when everyone understands that to transform the society, we need unity in purpose and unity in thought. As president, I believe in inspiring hope in the building of our nation. It does not matter which party you belong to or whether you are non-partisan. It does not matter your ethnicity or religion. We should be together in focusing our issues to Ghana. Our growth as a country, as Ghana, should be a uniting force, should be our unifying focus. I will return us to national pride and patriotism. I will return to institutions and developmental sectors the integrity that fosters growth. Indeed, I will make us once again the beacon of Africa, setting the pace for the continent to follow. Ladies and gentlemen, as a nation, we cannot be left behind. We cannot settle for better. As a nation, we cannot strive for better while other countries are within the global economy are reaching for the best. We need to chart a new future for Ghana with innovative leadership that believes in reaching for the best, and that is the NDP. Thank you very much.
Please, shall we acknowledge her once more? As I announced earlier, when we started this event, you will have the opportunity now to put your questions to her, and she will respond to your questions. You have 30 seconds to ask your question, and after that, she has 3 minutes to answer the question. Once again, this program is live on City FM, on Class FM, on Joy FM, and on Joy TV. At 9 o'clock, it will be also on Metro Television. I do acknowledge that I have seen quite a good number of distinguished statesmen and women here in these IEA gardens. I'm sorry, I'm unable to mention all of you by name. But of course, I've seen Justice Short here. I've seen Sam Okuyeto, who is a very senior advocate of the Supreme Court of Ghana here. I've seen Ni Okaija, I've also seen him here. I've seen quite a good number of you here. I'm expecting that you will also do the questioning as well. Well, I have the privilege to ask the very first question. And my question to you, madam, will be, you say that you are running for president because the nation is on the wrong path, and I'm quoting you. It does appear that in your presentation, you spoke more generally on a lot of issues. I do admit that that may be because you have limited time to address us. But you did identify the health sector, and you said the health system is not working. Lives are lost, officials are frustrated. Madam, please, will you explain to us what exactly is wrong with the health system and how an NDP government will fix it?
On the health system, the health sector, let me give you a classic example. About a week ago, a friend of mine called me. Her cousin was not well and needed to be sent to Konadu. Konadu is a place that this cousin had been going to quite regularly. And she got there, she was admitted, she was asked to come on admission, because they said they had to give her oxygen. They admitted her, put her in bed, and then they asked her, do you know anybody who can go and buy some oxygen in a small tank for you? Because the major oxygen tanks are not working, and the little ones have been paid for by those who can afford to pay for it, so they're using it for them. This lady said her sister or her cousin actually laid in bed and died. I don't expect that from Konadu, but it is happening again. We've been through this before, where you can go to a hospital and a simple thing like oxygen, you cannot get it. We need to actually put our hospitals in a state of readiness so that a hospital is not just an edifice, but also the things that are in it, the equipment and the tools for the doctors to be able to work. Because the doctors are well trained, but the hospitals are not ready for them, in the sense that not everything is in the hospital. So, to give this example, I think makes it vivid enough. Konadu is there, big hospital, referral hospital, and yet they didn't have oxygen to give to this poor lady, and she died. This is the example I want to give you. That should be vivid enough. Now, as NDP, what we will do is not only to build huge infrastructure, but to make sure that the very things that make a hospital run properly are put into the hospitals. So that if somebody is going to a hospital and knows that they are going to the dental section is fully equipped, well equipped, let me put it that way. And so the dentist who is working there is comfortable working on the patient and knows that the patient will get well. These are the things that I think we will be doing.
Please see if we can have the microphone right at the front. We take the first question here. Kindly introduce yourself and ask your question.
I am missing and can I say, that was a wonderful presentation. We now have a female Prime Minister in UK, and as you know, we shouldn't have a female president in this country. My question is on chieftains, and it's actually meant for all the flag bearers who are entering this year's election. Now, we have a robust constitution which guarantees the institution of justice. same constitution, Article 276, subsection 1, states that chiefs shall not take part in active party politics. Yet, when some politicians come to power, they take it upon themselves to install chiefs, when in fact the incumbent chief has not been installed or ousted from office. Now, this situation creates disturbance, creates rows. In fact, sometimes creates fatalities. I'm going to mention about law and order. In an era, my question is, in an era where we pray for peace and tranquility, an era where we shout about better government, should politicians be involved in chieftaincy in this way? Thank you.
The hand here. Okay, let's take the second question. The gentleman in right.
Dr. Olanu Mensa, a clergy. My question is, Your Excellency, what will be your policy direction on the local content law? And will you consider this Ministry of Religious Affairs instead of just chieftaincy? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Ask about what your policy will be on local content law, and whether you think that there should be a religious affairs ministry rather than chieftaincy affairs ministry. We're taking two more and then she'll respond to them. Two more. Let's take right by you, the next person.
My name is Dr. Agyemang of the Africa Center for Energy Policy. As of today, we are sharing about 180 megawatt of power of peak due to poor challenges. If you are elected, what will be your plan or program to enhance poor security for power sector? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take the last question from this row. Let's take the question. Yes. The Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative.
Thank you very much, Mr. My name is Lindo Pato. And thanks so much for the brilliant ideas you presented on how you're going to develop the economy. I'm sure you are aware that if we have corruption, all these plans will not materialize. And I've heard you speak so much about corruption before. In your view, what is the major challenge confronting Ghana when it comes to addressing the issue of corruption? And what will an NDP government be able to do to solve this problem? Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. So if you want to take it in the order that you prefer, or from the very first, from Ni Okainja III, this question is chieftaincy. It's prohibited. They are prohibited from active party politics, and yet they get into it, and politicians actually are involved. Should politicians be involved? How will you deal with that? Okay, his question was simply solutions to the energy situation, providing energy security. Fuel, right. Fuel security.
I would like to say, for the first one, that the politicians should really not meddle in chieftaincy affairs, because there's a section, as you rightly said, in the Constitution that clearly states what the chiefs do, what politicians are supposed to do. I believe that part of this whole chieftaincy issues and politicians meddling in chieftaincy issues have come about because of the unstable situation that sometimes exists within the paramountcies. But even so, if there is no disorder and it is just a matter of deciding on who sits on the stool or who is the king at this time or that time. I think the courts are open for issues to be dealt with by the court. But there are times that even when the courts have decided, it is that because my husband was the head of state, I can comfortably say that I know for a fact that there are chiefs who have actually come to try and put their side of the story to him or to his government as against what the court is suggesting. And so I think that since there's a chieftaincy secretariat or a ministry, say, a chieftaincy ministry, there's a minister responsible for chieftaincy affairs, but there's no ministry. Yeah, a minister. There is a ministry.
Yes.
I thought it was just
Dr. Selu Danai is the minister.
Yes, I know he is the minister. Now then, I think that the ministry should bring out a clear-cut policy on the do's and don'ts of this issue. Because that is why you have the House of Chiefs. The House of Chiefs are supposed to take very positive suggestions and decisions on some of the problems that arise in some of these issues. I remember that years back, there were problems within the chieftaincy institution vis-a-vis the Queen Mothers and so on. And one chief actually told me that if we could work a law that would bring the Queen Mothers into the Houses of Chiefs, and House of Chiefs, it will solve a lot of the problem, because the problems of Queen Mothers may be resisting a king or a chief, and the chief also resisting the Queen Mother, is sometimes what brings the friction within the paramountcy. So if they are there and they discuss it, they'll see clearly who is at fault, who is not, and solve the matter amicably. So I started out working to get the Queen Mothers into the House of Chiefs. My goodness, it was not easy. Yeah, so yes, I agree with you, but I think we should all put our minds to it, how we're going to solve this. And politicians should really not meddle in chieftaincy affairs. I do agree with you on that.
Dr. Walanyo also wanted to know your policy on local content, and tied to that is whether you would want to have a religious affairs ministry instead of a chieftaincy ministry.
Personally, and from the position of the NDP, we think that there are too many ministries to begin with. It is costing the country a lot of money. People are there who are doing no work, and they have the positions and the flowery thing that goes with it. I think that we should take a step back and see whether certain ministries are necessary at all before we think of adding more to it. This is my answer to that.
And that the NDP will not encourage even the chieftaincy ministry because it's an addition which is unnecessary.
I don't want you to put words in my mouth and say that there are too many. We have to sit down and analyze which is important and which is not, and take the ones that are not important out of it.
Thank you. Your policy on local content. You could also look at the questioning of solutions to the energy problem.
I'm going to say two things about our policy. We started talking about our policy on skill training and not turning the polytechnics into universities, but re-equipping them, making them strong in technical skills, so that the technical skills will then drive the economy in the middle income group. And I can see the president has taken it and is running with it at the moment. Be it as it may, now I hear it's in Parliament, they're trying to pass a law on skill training. Be it as it may, I will still talk about the fuel situation, the energy thing, and say that we in the NDP are looking at solar development as a major component. That's why I touched on it briefly, but as a major component that will give us energy. But most importantly, there are a number of initiatives that we have spoken to, Japanese, we've spoken to a number of countries about, and that is not allowing the big rivers that just run into the sea to just take the fresh water. What some of the countries do, which they said they can actually help us to draw up a program on, is to redirect at least 2/3 of the water back inland, lay a pipe all the way to the top, and let the water run back through the Akosombo turbines, and then it will give us power again. So it's like a circular thing, rather than it running through, coming to Akose side and going down into the sea. So we don't waste the water, we pump it back with some energy, which they said they will explain to us later, and then they will give us the details of it later.
You're speaking to governments?
We're speaking to companies who have done it.
Right, and you said that you intend to have a legal framework for it, for solar, the provision of solar.
Yes,
how is it going to look like? A legal framework for solar energy?
The legal framework is because there has to be a law making sure that those who are in real estate development put solar panels on their houses, as they put as part of the cost. And then every house that they build will have to have solar panels on top. But you cannot force people when you don't have the law. So first we must get the law, and then we get them to do it. And then we'll have also solar farms. The solar farms, I think Akosombo has already started some solar farms, and it's doing quite well. We have to extend it. Ghana has so much sun. In every region, we can actually use solar to power the regions. We can have small, smaller generating areas that will actually power all the villages using solar. People say solar is expensive. Yes, maybe, but at the end of the day, it becomes cost effective. I have had solar on my house for the past 8 years, 10 years, yeah. And I think that is serving as well. When the doom saw is there, at least we are obliged to see. Almost every other day, the doom saw.
The last question was from Linda for the GII.
On the corruption, it's a serious matter, madam. We cannot develop if we don't stop the corrupt activity. We can't. Because if a hospital that should cost maybe 50 million euros, and we are being told, or even 70 million euros, and we are told that it's costing us 250 million euros, something is wrong somewhere. How are we going to deal with this to be able to retrieve the monies so that generations unborn don't continue paying for things that somebody else has stolen? Now, I think that we should move back into an area of competitive bidding. We should stop this sole sourcing that they are doing in this era, where everything that they are building or tendering, it's a sole sourcing tender. So maybe he comes along, somebody's family member, so they want him to have it, sole sourcing, they give it to him, raise the prices, and then he gets away with it. They scream some off, I guess. But if we do a competitive bidding, I think this will help us. That's the first thing I would like to talk about.
Are we to understand that you will do away with the portion of the law as far as sole sourcing is concerned?
I don't think sole sourcing is a law.
And you need to acknowledge that it is law. Law provides for it. You do realize the law provides for it. You do realize also that some of these technical works and capital-intensive projects, they come with a condition, which includes that the donor or the one funding would need you to use their specific entities, and you can't do anything about that.
Yes, you can. If you are a leader worth your salt, and you can see clearly that what they are telling you to do is going to be to the detriment of your country, and you say yes, then there's something wrong with you. Definitely something wrong with you.
Shall we please have the next round of questions? Okay, we start with the lady here first. Please keep your question short.
Thank you very much, Madam, for that wonderful presentation. I'm Philip Alas, representing it. We need a dynamic and innovative ideas and leadership. Madam, please, in education, now we see a lot of our graduates unemployed. What will your government do so that at every level, right from the basic through to the tertiary, we can say that our graduates will be able to fit into the world of work? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's take another lady right here. Forgive me. Your hand was up during the first round, but sorry.
Madam, good evening to you. My name is Dr. Agyemang. Thank you very much for your comments this evening. I did want to ask you a question on the health system again, especially in light of your perspective on decentralization. With the example that you gave of the oxygen facility, one of the things that we realize in the health sector is the fact that decision-making around financial resources is not there at the local level, be it at a hospital or be it in the rural facilities. So in relation to decentralization, what is the NDP's perspective on actually ensuring that money stays within the district and that local managers actually have the authority to take decisions around those financial resources to make the health sector more responsive? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now let's go to this other side and take the next two questions. Yes, give it to him, right there, by you.
Thank you. My name is Patrick. I would like to find out on this page. We are aware that by the Constitution of the Republic, education is a right and not a privilege. Madam, are you aware that currently, especially higher education, is gradually becoming a prison for the few privileged, where there are brilliant students or graduates from the senior high school who cannot access higher education? What is NPP going to do to ensure that there are alternative funding models for higher education, and also to ensure a proper link between academia and industry, such that whatever we are taught in class will be practically applied and when we get to the job market? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take the last one. Shall we have the gentleman in tie and in suits?
Thank you very much. My name is Tuma Kwabwa, Association of Mara Industries. Madam, you may be aware that for the past years, growth rate in manufacturing has consistently declined. We all know the importance of manufacturing in terms of job creation and innovation and helping to stabilize our city through import substitution. In your presentation, you talked about two products, but I would like to know the NDP's overall plan for the manufacturing sector. Revamp the manufacturing sector to ensure that it contributes significantly to the national economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Philip Alasson wanted to know what specific steps you will take to solve graduate unemployment? Yes, Philip Alasi. Yes. Your solution to graduate unemployment. Then Dr. Akukwami's questions follow.
Yes, madam. Again, I hope my idea will not be stolen because everything is being stolen. We have discussed this extensively, and I can tell you for a fact that with some groundwork that we did, we can actually look at two areas. One, trying to retrain the graduates who don't have the requisite skills to get into any employment at all, retrain them into something. And the other is to request from existing companies how to take some of the students in depending on the courses that they have done. Because you can't take 10 people in all with HR. You have to take people in with different areas of disciplines. So in doing that, we as a government will then give the companies some tax rebates and certain incentives for the students to get into those areas of employment whilst learning on the job from the lowest level to the highest level. You don't put them straight as managers, you let them learn so that they know everything about the place, and we use national service financing to pay these students so that the companies are not the ones who pay them per se until the first year is over. After the first year, by that time the students would have learned some amount of work from that institution, irrespective of what company it is. If it's a shoe company, if it's a food company, if it is a bank, you know, they learn on the job something that they can take away. If at the end of the 2 years, those who they are working for find them good enough to employ them, they will employ them. If not, they would have gained some experience that would then help them to move out and be better employed, you know, employable, become better employed.
Is that simply an extension of the national service period?
No, but when you have a crisis on your hand, you look for the best way to solve that problem and find different ways of actually dealing with the looking for monies to actually solve the problem. It would be a national service per se. It's going to be a skill training, a vocational training, on-the-job training for the students, which we used to do when we were students.
Do you have any little research at least that suggests that graduates are willing to undergo 2 more years of their lives taking national service allowance and being retrained?
Mr. Ladi, I am shocked that you can ask me this question, because if you are sitting at home and doing nothing, and somebody gives you a job in uni level to go and learn on the job something, to learn how to make a soap, you will go there and learn how to make the soap. You obviously haven't started before.
The next question from Dr. Akukwami.
That's the hospital.
Yes. Decentralization is a major issue.
Yes.
How do you get the funds to stay at the district level and for the local authority to manage them?
I feel a bit sorry that I was not able to go through my whole paper. Otherwise, you would have seen where I've actually targeted, or I've talked about how government has usurped the power of the assemblies. They are not allowing the assemblies to work. They are not allowing decentralization to work. They are crippling it. So if NDP comes into office, we will reverse the negativities that are going on, centralizing everything again to central government and bring it to the districts. We want to decentralize again so that every district will have that opportunity to, in fact, if I had gone through my paper, you see that I was talking about how to raise funds and keep it in the district. Because it's only when the districts have money that they can actually run themselves. If you see how in the law itself, it talks about the districts actually deciding where to build their hospitals, where to build their schools, which contractors, they're going to have their competitive bidding from the assembly. But right now what is happening is, central government decides, okay, we're going to build a school in that district. Okay, get fund, bring the money, give it to Mr. X and Miss Y, and let them go and build it. So that the district actually doesn't have any money at all. So everything is being centralized again. You can't have a district assembly concept when you are centralizing everything. So we need to decentralize again. And when we decentralize, that money that you're talking about will be in the hospital to be able to make the hospitals function. And we want to do that. We're going to start it with the community organizational bureaus and work within the community, work within the district to let the districts grow.
The community, the COBNO, what exactly is it going to be? And under what authority is it going to function? What's it going to be the structure?
The structure will be from the community level, where you have a team of people taking a decision on what, if there's a village here, that village, there should be a team. It's like the unit committees. We will actually empower them. It's like you empower the unit committees. Right now, the unit committees are there. Nobody talks to them. They kind of select them. They are just there. They don't even know what they're doing. But we want them to have a role where they will help to put the districts on their toes. The districts will then make sure that government is on its toes. Because it's by empowering these people that they will be able to hold us accountable. They will hold their district chief executive accountable and hold their officers who are working within the district accountable. You need accountability. It doesn't come from the air. It doesn't come from the sky.
Sound like a duplication of what the district assembly will do. And what will be the authority from which this entity, COBNO, will also be operating?
It is just a name. You can say the unit committees. You're going to let the unit committees work well. It's just in a name. But it is the function of what they will do that is the important thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have had to see from Luke's. His questioning is about what he says is education becoming inaccessible to the poor.
He said some very clever students can't get into universities. So are we saying that some really dumb ones are getting in? Really? Because I think that now they're saying they're using computers to assess the levels of the students and allocate the universities to them based on what they choose, I think. I do not believe that you should have more universities to improve on the quality of academia in this country. I don't believe that. I think that we have enough universities, 9 government universities, 61 other universities, for crying out loud. Ghana, how many people enter the universities that we need 61? And you can't have 61 people all qualifying from universities with absolutely little or no skills and going to sit down expecting somebody to give them a job. Okay? So we need to have some of the universities, thank you, we need to have some of the universities and colleges turned into technical and vocational institutions where people can actually have an apprentissage, have a skill training, have a technical skill. Even if that technical skill later on gets into an engineering level, so be it. You look at a small country like Switzerland. There was a time when they couldn't employ anybody, and about I think 200 years ago, 150 years ago, they took a decision that instead of their students finishing secondary school and then entering the university, every child who reaches the age of 12 to 14 will be asked, what is the best thing that you would like to do? Some people say, well, I would like to learn how to bake. Some say, I want to do carpentry. Some will say, I want to learn how to, I don't know. So they have this vocational and skill training where they send them to individuals. So they do like maybe 2 hours of apprentissage or apprenticeship, and then 6 hours of formal education. With time, the ratio changes. By the time they are in, let's say from 3, they have 2 years, 2 hours of schoolwork and 6 hours of practical work. When they finish their education and they do their exams, according to their statistics, a lot of the students decide, look, we want to work a bit before we continue our education. We want to gain experience here before we continue. Some will say, we want to just continue and get to the highest level. So as a nation, we have to take a decision. Do we want all children to enter the universities, Mr. SRC President, or NUC's President? Or do we want some of the students who are academic to enter while the others are given the requisite training, whether it's in vocation or in technical skills or some other skills, to be able to stand on their feet and say, I am a hairdresser, I am a mechanic, I am, something, I own this business. What do we want as a nation? I think that the latter is better than putting everybody through university. No country does that. Go to England, go to America. No country does that. Putting all their young people, because they are clever, through the university. So I think...
Chum Akwabwa asked the question about the manufacturing sector.
You don't want
I want you to be able to cover enough. Chum Akwabwa wants to know the specific plans that the NDP has to revamp the manufacturing sector. You had earlier said that businesses were leaving the country.
First and foremost, we must correct our situation. First and foremost. And then secondly, we must look at the tax system. The taxes are killing the businesses completely, wiping them out. So we should look at the tax situation and see how we can actually bring taxes down. Find different ways of doing this. And then I think this will help improve on their industry. But also, if I may say, the industry will have to work with us, with me, and let me know what are the areas that you want the students to be trained in. So industry, government, and universities will work together and give the correct subjects that need to be studied. If you go to some parts of Italy and some parts of, and in fact, the whole of Japan, you cannot lecture a student if you have not worked in the industry. You can't. They don't accept you as a professor. You need to have worked in an industry to be able to impart the knowledge that they want you to impart to the student. So,
thank you very much. We take 2 last questions. Last 2 questions. Just 2. Okay, once again, forgive me, but there's a lady here. Please bring the microphone here. Well, you know what's happened in the US yesterday. Yes.
My name is Gloria Foribo, I'm a lawyer. You made mention of pre-planners and the opportunity you have to get them actively involved in the houses of chiefs because it's their constitutional right. And then it was also supposed to promote peace and security at the traditional level. And things did not go out, things did not go on well or did not work out. I just want to know what the NDP has taught for us when it comes to Queen mothers actively being involved as part of their constitutional role in the houses of chiefs at all levels. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In fact, we are taking 4 questions, I understand. Please, can you give the microphone to the Reverend Minister?
Thank you, Sponsor. I want to find out, I know time did not allow you to talk about agriculture, but I'm the son of a farm, and I did my practicals on the farm.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Samuel Agyemang, the General Secretary of Ghana Coast and County Council.
Thank you.
We want to find out, when we found oil, there was a cry about Dutch disease and all that. We were assured, or what did they call it? The Dutch disease. Yes, and then we were assured, yes, that our discovery of oil was not going to affect our production. Unfortunately, our Greek seems to be going down and down and down, and as I speak to you, a last visit to the village, I found people were getting poorer and poorer. What will you, leading the NDP, do to reverse the fortunes of our farmers?
Thank you. 2 more. Right, so, yes, the gentleman in African print, and then after that, that hand has been on, out for a long time. Yes.
My name is Daniel Seifufor from the Excellent Leadership Group, EXLA. Madam, congratulations for the presentation. SMEs play a very key role in our economy. And apart from the power fluctuation that is scrambling a number of them, higher interest rate is also really affecting this sector. I want to know if the NDP has any plan for that sector of our economy. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Bobby Fabian from Youth Leadership Parliament. I'm the president.
Sorry, the name again?
Bobby Fabian.
Right.
Yeah, from Youth Leadership Parliament. Thank you, Madam, for the presentation. One of the challenges facing the future of our great country is the activities of small-scale mining and what we call the Galamsey operators. Currently, there are rumors of government wanting to regularize them and tax them. And we all know the impact of Galamsey destroying our work body.
Be quick about it.
And also the collaboration going on between the operators and the chiefs. What is the position of NDP when it comes to Galamsey operation and how they are going to deal with it?
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, but it does appear the rains will not help us. Can we have Madame give her statement, a very final statement, so that we can leave? So you give your closing statement. You can let it take care of the questions that have come because of the rain. Right.
Madam Queen, as a policy, or let me take it from the woman's point of view. As a woman, I know when Queen Mother's positions were reversed in the history of Ghana. I did my research a long time ago, and I realized that there's a document around, if you are in the court, I think maybe you can help me to find it again, where the colonial government found the Queen Mothers too strong for them and took a decision that they were going to ride the kings and let them accept that they will reduce the Queen Mothers to a secondary position. So they actually elevated the kings or the chiefs above the Queen Mothers. But because of tradition, and traditionally the Queen Mothers are foremost, and they are the ones who are the custodians of everything. They lead everything. The chiefs, even though they were happy that the British used the divide and rule tactics as the divide and rule tactics as usual, and reversed that. Still have to go to the Queen Mothers for advice on certain things. So, basing my issue on that, I tried to do what you just said. Now, part of the reason why it was difficult was because the one who had been made in charge of the chieftaincy affairs at the time was also a chief. And he called me once and said, have you seen this is really the truth. He said, have you seen the big ring that my Queen Mother is wearing? I said, no. He said, go and look at the ring she's wearing. It's even bigger than mine. And now you want to bring her to the house of chiefs. I said to him, you know, it is really to bring peace in the chieftaincy issues more than elevating her above you. So they did everything to thwart it. But I must admit that at the time, Opokunwari II was the Asante, and he totally agreed with me on my issues. Now, coming back to you, the present, when, and not if, but when NDP is elected, and when I become the president, this is something that I will table definitely to have restored again. But most importantly, the Queen Mothers are not just the custodians of tradition, but they're also the custodians of history. So, and we need to have historical issues properly documented for the youth of this country to know about it. So that is one area that I definitely will need the support and the help of the Queen Mothers to help to put history in its perspective. So, Madam, all is not lost.
Samuel, our MP wants to talk about the Dutch disease. He feels like it's creeping, is catching up with us because agric has been growing very slowly. And that is a fact. Agric has recorded the lowest growth in the last couple of years.
Well, first of all, if you put square pegs in round holes, you definitely have problems. You must put people who understand the agric sector to manage the agric sector. That's my first point. But secondly, I think that we are not giving agric the needed attention as the government. They're not. And I am saying that the NDP will do it differently. We'll do it differently because I'm going to look at, we and myself as president, will look at how we can use the district assembly district assembly concept and make sure that we have the individual districts, apart from growing their food crops and so on, we select a product, one agricultural product that they will grow and grow on a large scale. And we'll do it on a competitive basis so that at the end of every year or every 2 years, we will have some level of competition amongst all the district assemblies with specific and targeted food items or exportable items that they are going to grow. Now, what we will do is whichever districts come first, we have the first and the second and the third. We are not going to give them money, but we will build a gymnasium, a sporting gymnasium that will cater to the district and make sure that they see that something is changing in their community and encourage sporting activities in those districts to even a higher level. So that is one area that we are looking at, on the agric sector, so that food production will increase, but specific items also will increase in its, in huge quantities, some for export, some for processing, and also some for consumption.
Daniel, Senator 4 wants to know what you will do about high interest rates that's crippling SMEs.
It's all part of the economic situation. I mentioned it just in passing because of the time factor. The interest rates are so high that it is almost impossible for small businesses to grow. 35%, 40% interest. It's crazy. But apart from that, the banks are not lending to small businesses, small and medium businesses. All they are doing is putting their money in treasury bonds, because government is actually borrowing and using the treasury bonds to run the country. Everything is upside down, to say the least. And so, if government is persistently borrowing to use from the treasury bonds, treasury bills that you and I are putting there, hiding our money there to grow a little bit, and that is where they go and take the money. The banks don't give the loans to people who are going to take 3 years to come and pay. They also go and put their monies in the treasury bills and make a quick turn over in a year, in 6 months, in 9 months, 91 days. They take it again and reinvest. So, Mr. Setufo, it is not your SME that is the issue. It is the whole economy that needs to be looked at again. And in the course of doing that, governance must be dealt with, must be attacked, and government must be dealt with.
The final question is from Fabian on small-scale mining. That's a very interesting area. People have had difficulty in that area. He's asking, what will be your specific interventions in that area?
Before I even talk about the intervention, about 2 years ago, I had a discussion with a very senior policeman, top man. And my position was, some Galamsey people were digging in Tapa so much that they were destroying a project that I had there for the women. And so they had closed the school, the house was falling apart, and I was very upset. What was his answer? Madam, I still made the headache. So I'm like, please, you've got to help me because these people have to be arrested. He said, do you know how many times we've arrested these Galamsey people and the Chinese people? It is your government people who are bringing the Chinese people to come and dig for them. So when you arrest them, they call you and tell you, release them. When you have a government that is irresponsible, it's very difficult to deal with this Galamsey. We don't need an irresponsible government. We need a government that cares about this country, cares about the water that we drink every day, cares about the children that are being born, cares about everything about Ghana to make Ghana grow. We don't need irresponsibility. Today we have irresponsibility. That's why we have the Galamsey. Now, having told my story, I would just like to say that it is not outside our reach to be able to deal with it. When you fly from Accra to Kumasi, in the last 2 years, you couldn't see the rivers under the trees. Today, you can see the rivers as soon as you are reaching the Konadu area, moving in there. You can see all the rivers have become red. It means serious Galamsey is going on over there. Now, it doesn't take a magician to know that some people are misbehaving in that direction. Are we only going to chase after the thieves who are harassing us in our homes? These are also thieves in a way, indirectly, because they are creating a situation where there will come a time when we will not be able to drink water in this country. Is that what we want as a people? Let us get together and fight this menace. But I think that maybe we should collect signatures and go and talk to the mining minister, whoever he is, and let him know that this has to stop. The mining minister, the environmental minister, and the water minister, they must come together and solve this problem with their president.
All right. Thank you very much indeed. Now you have some 2-3 minutes to give us your closing statements.
Me?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to give me tougher questions. That's just a joke, just. You ask my people, I like to joke. Ladies and gentlemen, we as a party have determination to work towards the improvement of our country, Ghana. We know that everybody in Ghana, at least the majority, know that there are people who cannot even eat a meal a day and go to bed hungry. We know that there are people who used to have water running through their taps, and today the water doesn't run through those taps anymore. We have people who bring tankers to our households, selling water to us, and when you check, you find out that these same people work in the water and sewage. So indirectly, the Kalabule is on, but we just don't give it the name Kalabule. We have people who come and remove our meters from our walls without recourse to us, and come and put what they want on our walls, and within 2-3 weeks, you see sparks coming out of your meter, and if you are not careful, your house will be on fire. We know that Ghana can do better than this. We know that the people in Ghana want better than we are seeing today. So, as a party, and as a candidate, as a mother, and as a woman who sees value in a productive woman and a productive youth, I believe that we can create a progressive working environment that will allow everybody, irrespective of gender, class, religion, to be able to work and work effectively. Ghana must grow. Ghana must stand. Ghana must survive, and we all must survive with it. Thank you very much.
Please, let's give it up to her again. That's nice to stand up and to recognize what she has done today. Thank you very much. Now, we'll right away, please take a seat, we'll right away invite back here for the Dr. Michael Ofori-Mensah to give us the closing remarks.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you will all agree with me that tonight's conversation has covered a broad range of policy issues, which are of critical importance to Ghana's governance and development. It is the IEA's hope that the policy proposals which have been outlined here will be subjected to detailed analysis. And indeed, we look forward to continuing the discussions on the Institute's social media channels in the coming days. So, on behalf of the IEA, I wish to express our sincere gratitude to Mrs. Agyemang Rawlings for coming to share her vision with us tonight. And to you, our audience here at the IEA Gardens, and to all the viewers and listeners who tuned in for this conversation, we wish to say thank you for the privilege of your time. And Samson, thank you very much for moderating this event quite effectively. So we hope to welcome you all once again to the next IEA conversation, which I hope will be held in September. So until then, it's good night, and may God continue to bless our homeland Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. We will observe just a few things that our guest for tonight will leave through the aisle, and we shall all be upstanding whilst she leaves. When she's gone, we will all be coming this way. Yes, we'll go through their back, but we'll be coming this way. The media that's available here, the journalists, if you want to conduct any interviews, she would be available for you to conduct your interviews somewhere here. Thank you very much. Shall we, at this point, be upstanding? We want to say thank you to City FM, thank you to Class FM, thank you to Joy FM and Joy TV, and also to Metro Television. Thank you very much indeed. Shall we now acknowledge our guest one more time as she leaves? Thank you very much.